Hi there, are you looking to create reusable components with variants in Figma? This is your lucky day because in this video you will learn how to create reusable components with variants quickly and effective. You'll also learn about the atomic design methodologies which you can apply in your design process. So stick around for another video of Pixels by Angel. So before we get started in Figma, I want to show you a very important design methodology which helped me to speed up my design process, but also helped to increase the quality of my work, as many large organizations and businesses work with design systems nowadays. And many of them have at the base the atomic design methodology. Don't worry, I'll not go into too much details as I hate theory, maybe more than you might do. But I want you to just understand the concept. So you'll notice here the idea of organisms. I'll just scroll that. So you'll notice the idea of organisms, and basically organisms are made out of multiple molecules, and molecules are also made by multiple atoms combined. And I want you to apply the same principles when you're building your user interface components. You'll think about, for example, with an image with a button on top of it. That's actually an organism, and that organism is made out of multiple molecules. You have the image, which is a molecule. You also have the button, which is also a molecule. And that button is formed by multiple atoms. You have the color, you have typography. You might have even an icon on that button. And that forms the molecule, which is being used on organism, as we were talking about. And that organism at a later stage can be used on the template. And those templates can be used on multiple pages. Okay, so now we are in Figma. Let's start thinking about how we can create or design system using the atomic design principles. And I'll also show you in the video how you can use the variants and complex components in order to create this. So we are at this artboard where we have to create our atoms. In terms of atoms, we'll think about typography, colors, and also an image container in this case. Other things you can put here can be like different margins and things like that. So I'll just start by creating a title. Let's just call it title. And remember, we are not really interested in the actual text on it, but more on the styling that's in here. What I like to do, if it's a mobile app, for example, I'm going to create another frame, which I'm going to place it somewhere on the left side or where I design, and I can quickly go and test the size, if it's fine, if it needs to be larger, and so on. So you get the idea. It's useful to have it there. I'll just make it slightly bigger, as this is a title, maybe a 28 or actually 32 for the title. That's pretty good. So we have the title. I use the work sans semi-bold and the 32 size. I'll just leave it black, as we are not really interested again in the color at this point. I'm going to create another atom, which I'm gonna call it copy. I'll just let's just call it standard body, and I will still use the work size, but I want the regular size and maybe a 16, or actually maybe slightly bigger, an 18 body size. That's perfect. So we have the title and we have the standard body sizes. Cool. Another thing which we might need here is the button text. I'm just gonna call it button. In this case, we're not really interested again about the actual text, just the styling. 18 sounds fine to me. I use the semi-bold and I will make it uppercase like that. Maybe, yeah, that's fine. I'll just leave it. If I want maybe a bold will look better. Okay, I'll leave it bold. And what we are going to do next is we need to be able to reuse those typographies that we have defined. So I'm going to press here on the 4 dots under text, and I'm going to press create style. I'm going to call it simply title. For example, if you're building a complex design system, you might have like heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, and so on. The usual sizes, you know, from HTML. So just leave it title. I'm gonna call this one body, and this one we'll call it button. It's not actually a button, but the styling of the text that's gonna go on the button. Next, for the atoms, we can have the colors. I'm gonna define like 3 different colors. So let's say something like a grayish. I'll just add the outline so I can see the color better. I want like a dark blue, something close to black. Okay, and this next one, I'm gonna have something like green, which will be probably used on the buttons. We can change it slightly at a later stage if we're not happy with it. But I'll just leave it like that and call this color primary. So again, I have defined this from the 4 dots under fill. Well, actually you can select it from here, but I've defined it from here with using this plus create style, and we call this secondary, and this one we will call it neutral. You can have multiple neutral colors, so that's fine. If we need, we can add more later. Okay, so we have colors, we have typography. We can have other things like image containers in here. So I'll just do that quickly. Something like that. So you can have image containers. You can do this using create component thing. I'll just look quickly for a default image to add it there. Okay, so maybe something like that will work. Sorry, I have 2 screens, so you cannot see the other one, but you get the idea. I just Google for a default image placeholder and add it here. So this one I will right click and say create component, and I will call it simply image. Okay, and another very important thing here is the button. We are going to have 2 buttons, a primary one which usually stands out more on the page, on the home screen, or a secondary one which is, you know, used for less important things. For example, you can have the confirm and cancel button. You want the cancel button usually to not stand out that much, especially if you're on a pen page. So, you know, marketing psychology, you really want the primary button to stand out, the action that you want the user to perform more. That's just a bit off topic, but yeah, you get the idea. I'll just add it quickly here to see the size. You can expand the size later, so that's fine. Something like that. I'm gonna grab the button text from here. I'm gonna add it on top of it here. Maybe make this slightly smaller. This looks too big. And I'm gonna select the rectangle which is behind and go here and add the primary color, and on the button I want the secondary color. I'm gonna select both and press here on the auto layout. I'm gonna press on the plus, and now that's gonna create and add some margin. So every time you want, every time you change the copy, let's say press me, you see the whole container is expanding with the text. It keeps the exact margin, and that's been added here is 58 and 58, 19 at the top and 19 at the bottom. I usually prefer to center it. So now, for example, you can increase it. It's always gonna stay in the center, the text. So we're gonna keep it like that. If you want to adjust your margins, maybe you want to add the same margins everywhere, like that. Then 19, 19. You can do that, but I prefer it that way. I just want to show you that you can customize it later from here. And that's our button. Let's call it button primary. I'm gonna right click and say create component. So we have a button primary here. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna select it after I create a component. That's a very important step. And press on variants on the plus next to variants. I'm gonna press on it. And now we have two buttons. The thing is that they look the same, and that's not the purpose why we should have two components when we can have, when we need a secondary button. So I'm gonna use the neutral color, and I'm gonna add a stroke. And for the stroke, I will select the secondary color as well. So now you can see we have two buttons. Actually, let's call this button, and this one we will call it primary here on the right side under property, and double click on this and call this one secondary. And to make it easier for us, you can also rename the property names. So I'll just call it type. And actually, the button that we have created here should go under molecules, as it's a more complex component than the atoms we have here. So you can see why that's the reason, is because we have the text, which is available here. We have the color available here as well. Well, we also use a secondary color, so it's a bit more complex. We formed it using multiple atoms, and that's why it's called a molecule, and that's why we use it there. Next, we will have to create the organisms, but we might need some more elements in here to create our whole page. Another thing you can add to the atoms is some icons. For example, you can add some arrows, or you can create some buttons that have some icons. So you might need that. And so we're gonna add them, as they're very important. I'm gonna add, let's say, an arrow. By the way, I'm using this plugin called Iconify. You can just, it's free to use. You can add it in your plugins in Figma. So I'm gonna search quickly for an arrow. I like this one, a bit rounded. I'm gonna import it. And probably I'll want it a bit bigger, so maybe like a 50, or let's make it 40. 40 is fine. And of course you can have multiple sizes for this as well. I'm gonna keep it like that for now. So we have the arrow, we can have another arrow to the left side, we can have something like an X. I want something that's matching that style, so I'll use this one. Where is it? It's right here. And to keep it consistent, I'm gonna make it 40 as well. And maybe this one slightly smaller to match the arrows. What else we might need? We might need something like a check mark. This one is cool and matching our style again. I'm gonna add it here. So we have this at 40 and this one somewhere around 20 height. That's quite cool. 25 maybe this one. Maybe slightly smaller in height, and there we go. So we have 4 different icons. We can select them all. Right click. Well, actually, before we do that, let's just rename this to icons/check. This one to icons/x, icons/arrow right, icons/arrow left. This will make it easier to swap between them later. So we have them like that. I'm gonna select them all, press on this button here at the top, and say create a component set. That's gonna add all those icons within a component set. So for example, if I'm gonna select this arrow, I'm gonna paste it here on the right side. I can actually hold on, not that. I can grab it actually from assets from here, drag it here, and I can swap between them very easily from this panel on the right side. That's exactly what we want. And in our molecules, for example, if you want to use one of the icons in your button, you can do that. And there are multiple ways how you can create another component set for buttons that have icons, or you can actually add it here and add another property. And I think best design systems and for consistency, you will want to create a new property other than a new component. And I'll show you how to do that. If you press here and say add new property and call it icons, and you can have true or false, and I'll show you that's like a boolean value, and I'll show you why I did that. Actually, I want here the auto layout, so if I duplicate this, it's gonna change the whole container down. It's gonna push it down and resize with the elements. Okay, so this one is type primary, icons true. Well, let's make this false. So on this one we will not have the icon, and on this one we will have the icon. In order to do that, I'm gonna go and press on the arrow. I'm gonna copy it, or well, actually I can just grab it here from the assets panel, so that's right. I'll just drag it in here inside. It's quite big at the moment because if you remember, we have those margins, and it's gonna calculate the margins using the 40 pixels container size from the arrow. That's quite larger than the 21 that we have here, so we might need to decrease it by something like 10, so we can make it 9 and 9. We have 58 height, and on this one we have 59. Still quite a bit different with 1 pixel, but it's not a big deal, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. And here it's 58. I think that's quite big now, so maybe we want to make it like half the size. I think will look best. I'm just gonna make it 30. Let's see how it looks. And 30 looks perfect. Well, maybe slightly bigger, like 30, 32, and 32 looks better, that one. That's fine. So we have now the option with the arrow and the option without it. Of course, you can swap between all the other icons that we have defined if you want to, but that's just the molecule. And same thing we can do for the secondary button. I'm not gonna do it because I want to keep this tutorial short, and I'm just gonna go to the next step, but you get the idea, and you can create the other component as well. Let's just double check a few things. So we have the type primary, icons false. We have the type primary, icons struct, that's correct. On this one we have the type secondary, and the icons should be false. So it's always important to check your complex components and variants with properties to see if they're okay. Let's just test this really quickly to see if they work fine. So I'm gonna add a button, and you can see once we define the property as a boolean true or false, you have the option to switch the icons on and off using that button. Secondary, again, because we don't have the option on the secondary one, we're just gonna swap with the primary. But yeah, let's just press on primary, add the icon, and again you can swap the icon if you want to. So in case you decide to add multiple icons or other icons, you can quickly go in here, add another variant, and swap the icon. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. And cool. Let's do another thing. So we might have like an article page. So in that case, I want to have like a page template. Well, not a template because we're not there yet, but I want the title and the body text. So I'm gonna group those, maybe add something with a little padding. So let's put this here. Okay, gonna add it on top of it like that. Bit of margin. Cool. So we have the title, the standard body text. Let's actually group them together using auto layout from here. And why I did that is, for example, now you can resize the container with the text, so we can have it as big as we want. Cool. Okay, and so yeah, you can actually do that as well. And this one, let's get a size from here like that, 116, and I want this this text, I want it to be a field container. This one I want hack content. This one I'm gonna make it field container. So every time I resize this, it's gonna fill, the whole space. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So let's say I have more text in here, right? And I'm gonna reuse this component for an iPad, which the device width is bigger. So this is gonna resize as much as I want. So that's why it's important the way you set your auto layout properties. For now, I'm just gonna remove that. Okay, just to make it nice looking within our molecules. And for example, in this case, we can also set the fill color. So I'm gonna use the secondary colors, and for this one, I'm gonna use the neutral one. Cool. Okay. All right. So in here you can have like a menu at the top. So you can have like hamburger menu, or you can have the go back arrow and stuff like that. So let's just do that quickly. Oh, before I forget, I want this as a component too. So I'm gonna create component, call it article text, because we might have in our template, article template, we might have the image. So let's actually copy this over to the top. I'm gonna detach instance, delete that text. I'll show you in a moment what I'm doing. I'll explain. I'm gonna go to the artboard, get the icon, add it here, and then I want the icon to the left. So for example, you can have the go back option in here. I'm gonna group these two together. So right click and you can say group. I can't see, oh there you go, group selection, and press on auto layout as well. We might need to do some adjustments. So this one is fine. We have plenty of size on the right side, but when you click on this one, you have on fixed width. So it doesn't really go next to the arrow because it's filling the whole space with the fixed width. But if we press on hook content and press on the created group, and you have the option to go on the horizontal direction with the auto layout, and that's going to place the title next to the arrow. So we have that bar, and in this case you can have like the page title. So you are on settings, for example, you want to go back from it. That's cool. And this one we can leave it like that. For example, in this case, you might want to have like another option for the title. So we might have something like, just gonna create one really quickly. I'm gonna detach that and say subtitle with a smaller size of 20 or something around that. Maybe 20 is quite small, so 26. That's much better. Gonna press on plus and say subtitle, create style. Gonna select this one and I'm gonna swap to the subtitle one, which is slightly smaller. However, you notice now that it's not centered, which looks really bad. I really hate that. But if you press on new group in here, the frame, and center it from here, that's gonna make it fine. Let's just give it a quick try. You can have like a larger text here, like bigger version of it. I'm gonna undo that, keep it like this, really simple. And now we want to create the organism on the right side. The organism, as you remember, it's a bit more complex, and we'll have all the elements created in here inside the organism. So for example, we can have, oh, actually I didn't create the component. Oh, I didn't rename it either. So I'm gonna call this one, let's just call it menu option. As I said, you can have like the hamburger menu on this one, on the navigation. Actually, let's not call it menu option, let's just call it navigation. Gonna create component. Okay, so we have the navigation, we have the article tags, we have the button, and I'm gonna use all of them inside our organism. I'm gonna go to the assets panel, I'm gonna drag the navigation, well, actually, let's use the image. in here the title with the standard text. And what else? We can use a button as well, so you can have, you know, which one you like. And those organisms, you can group them together, for example, and create a complex one. But I'm just gonna keep them like that for now, and actually create a template using them. So in our template, I'm just gonna grab that in here. I'm gonna try a different color, just something that stands out more. Just make it rounded to look nice. Cool. And let's just, you know, create our template. Cool. So we have that navigation. Probably you will need to leave some space, you know, for the iris, for the notch at the top of the screen. So we have that. Oh, actually, why I did that? I need to copy it over. Cool. We have settings. I'm gonna drag the image. All right, and the text. And then we have the button, which will go in here. Okay, like that. And I'm just gonna go quickly and copy the lorem ipsum, so you have something there to read. Okay, just like that. I'm gonna paste it in here. I think that's quite big, that's too much text. Right, and on the button, oh, let's just type in here something a bit more appealing. Article text, not as appealing as you would expect, but it's still, you know, a bit of text there. So yeah. Okay, let's just add a background, a field to look nice. Like that. Maybe we want this a different color. You can actually add like a shadow, like a drop shadow. You know, this is like a bit of trial and error, see what looks best for you, what you like to have. Okay. Cool. Well, actually we can make this feel that color, add that shape. That looks better. And we can have this button stick always on the screen. So let's say we can have primary button like that. You can reuse, for example, the secondary one. Let's say we can place it here at the top. Join now or login. So that's like the secondary option that you want on this. Cool. So that's basically a template, and you can reuse that to create a proper page. Not as nice as I would expect, but yeah, I think that's still fine. You know, you need more time to think your design, but this whole video is about how to use the complex variants and the atomic design methodology. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna use a website called undraw.co. I'm gonna leave a link inside the description of this video, so if you want to grab some illustrations and reuse them, you feel free to do that. They are free to use, and I think they're really cool. So let me just try and find something really quickly. Okay, I like this one. I'm gonna just drag and drop it somewhere not there. I think that's not the result I wanted. So let's try it one more time. Okay, let's try now. Why is doing that? I don't know. But maybe if let's try and drop it in here. I'm gonna copy from here and I'm gonna paste it. For some reason it's acting weird. Shouldn't do that. Anyway, let's try and choose the image actually from that place. Okay, that works. Okay, and fit, you have different options that you can use. I'm gonna use it as a tile. Why is got that margin over there? I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm gonna crop it. That works better. Okay, that's fine. Let's not be too picky about it. Cool. So we have added the image, and now we need some proper text because this is an actual page with actual content. That's why we added the image. So I'm just gonna invent something really quickly. Space up prototype. Maybe that's not too inventive, but no, this is a proper page built using the atomic design methodology, and we call it space app prototype for the effort put into this video. You will subscribe to this channel and like this video, and also make sure to share with your friends. So this will help me grow the channel. I think that's quite inventive, isn't it? Well, so this is your page. Oh, one more important thing, you always need to have proper copy on your CTA. And what we need in this context on this page, we need this subscribe button. So make sure to subscribe, as that will help me grow and make more videos. Okay, so this is our page. Settings. Well, you might want to go and type blog in here because this is a blog article. Cool. Again, you can swap this. If you want to use the secondary, you can do that, or if you want to use the icon, you can do that as well. Now the X, the check, the arrow, right. That's fine. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and also I will leave a link inside the description of this so you can download this whole artboard what we have created in this 40 minutes of video. I know it's been quite long. I was expecting it to be a bit shorter, but I tried to explain the concept as much as possible. So the link for this file will be inside the description of the video. It will be on Buy Me a Coffee, so also feel free if you want to buy me a coffee or just download it. It's free, free for you to use, and make sure to subscribe to the channel one more time, and I'll see you into the next video.